opening event here in the Triton Super Roller Series in Vietnam. We do GG Poker Super Millions live. With 166 entries, we are down to 8, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to them. From seat 1 with 4.1 million from Letterkenny, Ontario, please welcome Seth Davies. No good? In seat 2 with 8.2 million from the US, please welcome Chris Brewer. Seat 3 from the US with 2.5 million, please welcome Jonathan Jaffe. In seat 5 from New Zealand with 4.4 million, please welcome Sosia Chiang. From the Czech Republic in seat 6 with 5.8 million, please put your hand together for Roman Hrabec. Our chip leader from Malaysia with 10 million, please welcome Webster Lim. Seat 8 from the US, please welcome Nick Petrangelo with 3.6 million. Last but not least, from Malaysia, in seat number 9 with 2.9 million, please welcome Michael Soiza.
Too happy, too many chips.
All right, players, as you know, the GG Super Millions live is not for the room, it's, it's just for us.
All right.
We have a seat swap, so we're gonna start with the short stack, which is, Jonathan, you can change your seat to whoever you like.
Happy where I am.
Happy where you are. Jonathan will stay in seat 3.
The button
You're
hasn't
going to
been
tell us
drawn.
where
No.
the button is?
Okay.
We draw after the button.
Oh.
Okay.
That kind of breaks the whole thing.
Not necessarily, but
I mean, it's still, you still get an advantage to pick your seat where you want to
No, I'm
stay
saying,
as the
like,
last. I know what you mean.
John
But it
would've
gives too big an advantage,
done
in our opinion, to
something
do that. So
right, yeah.
we won't do that yet.
All right.
Michael, where would you like to sit?
Swap with
Okay. For fun.
swap with Soja.
good view of the cards, you know, if I stay there.
Nick will swap with Soja. Michael will swap with Roman. And we'll get to Seth.
Just for social purposes?
Yes. Pictures.
We don't have enough pictures together.
Just for
This
pictures.
was nice. The only picture I remember of us at a poker table together has a perfect gent in it.
Seth is next.
Yeah. I'm gonna swap with Webster.
I could get one.
Swap with Webster.
You know, like the way, like even though it doesn't matter with the buttons, what emphasis for like what you would have done. So
Then we have Sosia.
Well, it's just different. It's not.
I'll just stay.
Sosia will stay in her seat. And we have Roman.
I'll stay.
Roman will stay in his seat. We have Chris. Chris will swap with Michael. and the chip leader Webster last to the side.
Yeah, I'll stay.
Sorry?
I'll stay.
Stay. Yeah, perfect. Webster will stay in his seat. Wish I had one of those moments where somebody would think for a long time and like a TV host say, sorry, I have to push you for an answer. I didn't. Okay, perfect. We're just gonna draw for the button. We're gonna play 15 hands before raising the level. At 8, 7, and 6 players remaining. When we get down to 5 and 4 players remaining, we're playing 14 hands before we raise the level. 3 and heads up, we're gonna play 13 hands.
I almost got it.
If we started a cycle of hands, we're not gonna reduce them if we're going down from 4 to 3, for example. We finish that cycle first, okay?
But, you know, it's cool that they kind of introduce some of these GG nuances that spices things up, see if it works. Definitely adds a layer of
He
strategy,
used to be
especially on that
not shy. I
final
don't know,
table bubble spot.
How much you've heard?
Times.
Baby corn. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the political landscape
Been
has
on
changed.
tour much longer than Nick Petrangelo.
You used to get a slap on the wrist for that stuff, right?
You got away with not being in prison multiple times.
Yes.
Dude,
So
you,
it appears that Soiza
Guys, we're on
threw the
TV.
button.
you could still like be a registered sex offender in New Jersey on the bottom list.
I'm going to leave that one alone. Brewer opens to 300,000 under the gun, welcoming 2 sevens to his second place stack. And Webster not looking to pick a fight. King Jack into the muck.
Yeah, while you've got the bigger stack, you don't want to put yourself in situations to lose most of the stack. So a lot of times you actually see the first and second place guys sit across from what I've seen on the GG seat swaps. And they kind of just take turns picking on everyone else.
Petrangelo going to defend as we play an 825K pot. King, queen, deuce as Petrangelo outflops the sevens. Checks with the flow of play, and Brewer.
Little small bet.
Yeah, tickler.
It's also the board where the big blind will probably just miss a lot because it's the big cards. Those kind of hands would just jam in pre-flop. Ace, kings, ace, queens, so he thinks he can just take it down, protect it. But once you get called, you're like, yeah, he's probably got some king X or queen X. Scary.
Yeah, the ace of spades does give Brewer the lone spade draw in this confrontation, and you wonder
I'd think
what he's
about
going
it.
to do.
I would definitely think about it because it's scary to bet here, but it's hard for Petrangelo to have a good hand that could continue, it feels. I'm like, okay, king, queen. Queen, jack would have trouble. King, jack, unless there's a spade in their hand. Ace 10, ace jack. I guess I could see those spots.
You're saying king, queen would have trouble
No, not
continuing?
king, queen.
No.
I'm just trying to think of hands I would have king, jack. I like that he's thinking about betting here. He knows the sevens are no good. If he gets called, he's got backup, hit a spade or 7. I really like this play.
Puts the pressure on Petrangelo, who promptly puts
sorry.
it into the muck.
I didn't see that.
Well, that's my fault.
Nice pickup there for Brewer. And hand number 1 of 15 at the 150 big blind level.
Clarified what for. We said I give you registered sex offender. I said we should have clarified what for.
They're talking over us.
Thank God.
We weren't quite talking over you as much as you would hope, gentlemen.
Anyways, she looked 17 at least.
Oh boy. Maybe we should start talking more, Randy.
Yeah, about that hand you just lost, Nick.
Seth Davies welcoming Black Kings.
Another deep run for Davies. Had multiple deep runs over in Cyprus.
Yeah, looking back,
He couldn't
cashed
close one
5
out, though.
times.
Yeah, he couldn't close one out, but I remember him just always at every single final table.
Third, a second, 2 8th place finishes, a 10th. And it's interesting because Davies was in that same sort of class as Nick Petrangelo in terms of guys who had been to multiple stops yet to cash. Once he broke the seal, it was all upward from there. And upward is not the direction I would anticipate Jonathan Jaffe's chips to be headed in this spot, as he's got 2 jacks on the button.
I can't think of a way he gets away from this. It's just, you got to go all in. I mean, he might just put in most of his chips in case some craziness happens behind him. Maybe like 1.5, but the intention is to get all the chips in there.
Obviously, he suspects he's got the best hand the vast majority of the time. Not on this occasion, of course.
All in.
And he stuffs it. Music to Davies' ears. Quick double check of the cards, and the call is made. And bad news for Jonathan Jaffe for the time being in a 5.2 million chip pot.
ESP, king of
I was really. I got a king in mind.
What'd you say? Yeah. What?
Burn down. 3 off the top. Is there a jack available? No.
I think it's that.
It's potential.
2
Maybe
hearts.
a 10, an 8.
No 4 of clubs.
Jack.
Davies rooting for the 4 of clubs. Instead, it's an ace.
4 of clubs.
And now it's down to 2 outs once for Jonathan Jaffe. Or his run here at this final table will be short. There was the 10, but no 8 available to go with it. As Jaffe doles out a fist bump, and we will dole out 8th place prize money to that young man who notches yet another cash, 121K to add to his total. Going to bring him to 681,000 across 3 caches. 7-handed. We march forward.
And Mark
Now,
we will.
164K, the next payout.
Yeah. So as we get further into this tournament, you can see we get to the 100K payouts after more bust outs, and that's when things get really juicy. Do we got a little lucky charm there next to that chip stack? Do you see something?
Is it a money cat?
I think it's a money cat. Needs to turn it around.
Maybe it's a shy money cat.
You don't want a shy money cat. You want one that takes the money.
Right. Hobbits off of at least the 10 of spades and a 5.8 million chip stack. Sticking 300 out there for a min raise open.
Ten, 7 of hearts. This is connected stuff. What you want to see from the big blind for a min raise.
Davies moving into 3rd in chips.
I will say he's very likely to have kicker problems given the position.
Yep. Unfortunate to be sharing a card with Hrabets on the monotone ace-queen-jack board. Both players with the Broadway draw.
A lot of times on monotone boards, if people see a bad day, downsize. Not sure what that other card is, but it would have some connection with the 10 of spades. Whether it's ace 10, jack 10. 2 big blinds. Gets it done.
Little follow through for the lone remaining first timer in the field. You know, we started the day with 32 players, Randy. Half of that field was Triton first timers. They have not fared well en route to the final table, as Roman Hrabets is the only remaining hope for the rookies. Davies has 15% of chips at the table, third of 7 as it stands now. Brought to you by Shambhala Jewels.
The other Malaysian veteran plays all the Triton events, both no limit and short deck.
Button moves over to Brewer.
You have to. Okay.
Robert's, by the way, a cool customer. Randy, not a guy that,
What does a cool customer mean?
you know, just that poise, just that sense of presence at the table. You know, guy's a player.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll see experienced online players come into the live arena and look a little bit rattled, look a little bit out of their element, a little bit uncomfortable. Not so for
I
Roman
see where you're coming
Hrabets.
from. Yeah.
Or first-timers to Triton. You know, you're in the presence of a lot of greatness here. Real nosebleed action. Maybe dipping your toes into the deep end of the pool, deeper end of the pool for the first time. No signs of that whatsoever on Hrabets. As Petrangelo with the ace-queen opens just north of min.
Napkins. Into the muck.
Yeah. And we expect to see a decent bit of this, obviously, as we kind of shake out.
You see the big blind fold even more when the two guys at the bottom have like the same stack, so they're kind of like waiting each other out. It's like, hey, why don't you put your chips in first and maybe turn into a 10 big blind stack, or maybe bust out first, because it's to your advantage because of the way payouts are structured. They ladder upwards to wait out the other opponent when you can.
Patience is profitable.
Really is. Folding just makes you money.
You know, it doesn't sound like a particularly sexy philosophy,
No,
but
it's not why you play poker. To
no,
fold,
it isn't, right?
It's like, oh, we come play here to fold. No. But like the way these players, these world-class players have been playing it's very technical now at these final tables. They understand the ICM, so they all have this general sense of playing cautious, not getting too reckless. But once in a while, you get someone who just steps out of that box and, you know, just kind of goes for it all the time. And is like, I'm going to put this to my advantage. Sure, maybe I'll lose all my chips first, but...
You can just say it. Carl Chape-Gatien.
Yes.
You don't have to beat around the bush, Randy.
Exactly. And that was a delight over in Cyprus.
Absolutely.
Well, blind versus blind, 5-3 offsuit. Not a great hand, but you see him putting chips in is because he's got the chip advantage. He knows the 4 million stack is a stack that doesn't want to play pots because it's looking at the short stacks who's only got about 2 or 3 million in chips. It's hard for the small blind to limp continue too often. However, ace-6 of diamonds is enough of a hand to see a flop, but you're not going to fist pump even if you just flop an ace. You're not like, look, let me get all the chips in. Let me try to pot control my way down to the river.
Yeah, the ice is thin. And the dummy end of a gut shot on the 10-9-7 board for Jiang.
It's those middling cards that does limp call. It hits the small blind range more. 5-3 offsuit. You're looking at it and you're like, well, I bet. I don't really know what I'm up against. I could be up against like a 2-pair, a 1-pair, a straight draw. It's a lot of guessing game. A lot of times you kind of see the 5-3 offsuit maybe do some kind of delay. See how it develops on the turn. Then fire some bets in.
So the check back from Hrabets as the 8 rolls off promptly for Sosia.
Normally this would be a good spot for the small blind to just stab and try to bluff at it, but you actually have the bottom end of the straight. I probably would just keep things slow it down. There is a case where you bet a little bit to kind of charge some draws. I suppose Jack X is not a big part of the big blind raising range on limp versus limp, so...
Let alone the check back range
Yeah.
on the flop. As Jiang barrels and Rabitz is done with it.
Nice little pot.
I'll tell you what, I think it's nice from Rabitz as well, you know, as he's able to kind of identify the range
Exactly.
advantage that Jiang had there, and the fact that he's not going to be able to rep it all too credibly on that 10 high board.
I knew that this was coming.
Brewer opens with ace-10. Now Jiang on the button with sevens. Currently 5th out of 7 players. Brewer second in chips. She just puts him into the muck, Randy. Walk me through it.
I was going to say that I wouldn't surprise me if she folds it. It's one of those spots where it's uncomfortable. Flat calling there kind of puts your hand a little bit face up. 2 big stacks behind you might pressure your calling. It's like, you know, just because you hit a set, when you do hit a set, doesn't mean you're going to get paid off for the full stack. I think it's just, let's just maintain my medium stack in the middle. Stay away from this trouble spot. If I want to continue with a hand, I'm going to come in with a 3-bet. Take control, so my range is uncapped.
Petrangelo has shed the headwear here. 6th of 7.
Stop the clock for me, please. It's scary to play the hand after that happens, too.
Suited connector now for Davies.
The pretty one, spades. In the muck. Just some respect for the stacks behind him. It's the chip leader in the small blind.
Jiang suited herself. Not looking to open.
Let's see what his game plan is with King 7 offsuit. Definitely a hand you can raise. Depends on how he thinks the blinds will react, but you know, if he's raising 5-3 offsuit, doesn't really strike me as a guy who's going to lay down King 7 on the button. Ace deuce. So Soiza is the clear short stack here. I think call is standard. There is a world where people just kind of put in more chips because the hand doesn't play that well post flop. It feels like he's got a little bit too much to do that. So come in for call. Flops bottom pair. It's actually a good flop for both players. One of those spots where you're gonna just fire a little bet. You're gonna bluff away when you miss. You might as well bet when you got it.
825 in the middle. And Rabitz betting 225. Not the kind of price that is going to put ace deuce into the muck, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely check calling is the standard player of ace deuce. Also, the nice thing to think about is you check call of ace deuce. Sometimes an ace rolls off, your opponent either hits or reps it. You got 2 pair. You want to think about how your opponents would react to certain cards you like.
Well, Michael needs help. Doesn't get it on the turn.
Do we order?
King 7, I could see it betting here. I could see it checking. I think either way, your kicker isn't a good kicker, so if you get called by a king, you're most definitely behind usually. Set the price now. Sometimes you need to think about, well, how would I respond to a check raise? Would I commit the rest of the chips? If that answer is no, then usually you check more often. But he seems pretty confident to bet again. Wants to charge ace 5, ace deuce, ace 4, these types of hands.
Facing a bet of 550 now.
Look, ace deuce could be the best hands here. He does beat hands, but it's just if you're ahead, you're probably not that far ahead. Your opponent might have like an open-ended straight
Right,
draw with some
right.
flush draws. Just stay away. Your chips are important. If you make a call here, you're wrong. You become the clear short stack. Now the guy in 6th place is really waiting you out.
And you can't assume that you're going to be able to get the showdown free of charge. Once the river rolls off, all of a sudden you face that third barrel. How do you like it unimproved?
So the hand, just because maybe you know where you're at on the turn sometimes, doesn't mean that the river bet isn't coming.
Yeah. And to be fair,
2.1.
the button open from Providence, the range is wide enough that you don't really know where you're at. It contains a pretty broad spectrum of holdings.
Yeah, it's all over the place. So.
Yeah.
It's annoying. That's why I like the big blinds with short stacks. Try not to defend too often. It's because they don't want it to dwindle down to that 12, 13 big blind. Do it one more time. Down
Sure.
to 10. Blinds go up after, 15 hands? Not ideal.
Not at all. Hobbit's going to sit this one out. On the button, 10-6 suited, chip leader Webster Lim.
Seems like a chip leader raising hand. Suited. I want to say connected. Okay, it's not just a raising hand. It's a raise for all the chips. Ace queen for Petrangelo.
Off of 3 million. 6th place chips right now.
It's annoying because there is a guy shorter than you who just lost some chips. But ace queen is just seems too strong here.
Yeah, and he agrees as he moves all in. To be fair, the pay jump between 7th and 6th, not anything that's altogether.
Was it a raise? It
too
was
big.
sorry, it was a raise and an all in.
Yeah.
Because I thought I saw the graphic of an all in from Webster.
No.
Must have misread it.
All good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Petrangelo going to wash that pot down.
Excuse me.
You know, earlier, Randy,
Mm-hmm.
Some Monica honey.
I did house 3 Vietnamese iced coffees.
Don't trap me again. I see you eyeballing the waitress looking for 2 more.
You know, just seeing her deliver beverages to the final table does tempt me into flagging her down for a re-up. You know, it's not like a time release sort of thing. I mean, you know, it wears off.
Oh, you've never had Monica honey?
Oh, what is
I
it?
don't want to crash. I got to keep my
By the end of this 2
blood
weeks,
coffee level in line.
what's the over and under? How many Vietnamese coffees you've had?
I don't know, but
My dog.
Probably like 120.
I like your side.
Okay, so here we're playing 24 big blinds. Some people jam, some people limp, some people raise. I think raising is probably not the ideal spot, so you either go for the limp jam or limp.
525.
Okay, he does raise. Just it's awkward, really. You know, you don't have the shortest stack where you can just open rip it. If you
For-
get called in position, it sucks. Yeah.
Lets him off the hook quickly as he had deuce X.
That sounds great.
So back-to-back pots there for Petrangelo as he is putting a little bit more runway between himself and Soiza. Warm welcome to those of you that are taking in this final table of event number 1 at the Triton Super High Roller Series in Hoi An, Vietnam on YouTube. Don't forget to click that subscribe button
I've
to
seen him
ensure
write
that
Vietnamese coffee so many times I want one now too.
yeah, just to ensure that you are kept abreast of all of our content. Get notifications. Hit that like button for us as well if you're into what you're seeing. Certainly our pleasure to have you with us from all around the globe in all time zones. Poker fans everywhere. And Soiza's going to be a fan of ace-jack suited in the cutoff. Off of 2.1 million.
Push it in.
Didn't look like all of it.
A lot of you guys like to put in
What's
part
your
of their
stack?
stack in.
Oh,
Confrontation coming.
yeah.
1 point, 1 behind.
And this is half his chips already out there. I would imagine.
1-1.
Yeah, the click back to exactly
chips
how
aren't
much
organized,
Soiza
I'll
has
really, I
from
can
Nikki
ask
P.
and pause it. No, I'm just saying.
All in.
Oh.
All in, yeah.
It gets back around to Soiza. They deal with the formalities, and it is going to be an unfortunate
You know what I
development
mean? Like if somebody has their chips in like 3s and 7s.
for ace-jack.
KO 28 stacks.
I tried to make
you-
it
you were
organized.
fine.
Yeah,
You
I
did.
made it 5 and 5, so it's 1.1.
I'm not. As big KO, he does 28 stacks. You know, like
No, like before I was saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's 5 and it's a whites and blacks. So.
Great spot here for Petrangelo.
Seems like the tournament for him so far. After being down to 2 blinds. Queen in the window.
Yeah, that's disaster for Soiza. You see his equity dipping considerably. Just 4% from this point forward. No spade on the board. And on the turn, Soiza draws dead. The river, a formality. And we have lost yet another player here in the early going in the first level of our feature table. Michael Soiza. Soiza going to pick up 164K for his efforts. Add that to the 4.46 million that he had earned over the course of his career, coming in, denied his second title, but picking up his 11th cash. And we carry on 6-handed here at the final table.
We do lose our 2 players who were the shortest stacks coming in. Seems like they did a bad seat swap, eh?
Don't hold the seat swap accountable, Randy. Don't lay blame on the players.
Could have picked a different seat, would have got different cards, who knows?
Yeah, right, okay.
Nah, but those hands later were coolers.
Maybe you've got a little money cat somewhere in your pocket. Nothing superstitious about Nanonoko.
All I do is study seat swaps. You know, I don't worry about how to get there, but one day I'll get to the final table and I can use that
Honestly, I think
information.
seat swaps are the strongest part of your game.
I mean, when you came into the commentary booth, I did a seat swap.
That's true.
I did. You didn't notice, did you? Till now.
Did you have first option, or did I? It's unclear.
You were the short stack, huh? And then I kept my seat. There we go.
Was I the short stack, though, Randy? King 6 suited, opens to 300,000 up front. Now Brewer on the button.
Ace Jack is one of those hands where people do a bit of a mixed strategy. Three bet tends to be the norm because it's not like you got blockers to the good hands. Doesn't play optimally, but seems too weak to just fold.
Three bets to 800K.
It feels a little suspicious. He's just like, come on, you're gonna 3-bet my under the gun when we're the 2 bigger stacks. Seems like you're supposed to pick on me. He's thinking about actually making a move, I think. This would be pretty sick 4-bet.
Is it the kind of hand to do it with?
King 6, well, you block ace king. You block kings. The 6 is okay. Because you know, you don't block some hands that will 3-bet and fold, like the jack. Look at this. It's reaching for chips.
Yeah, you suspected that this was inbound. And I doubt that Brewer expected this.
No. He probably thought he would just play straightforward, like, oh, you'll respect me because it's not worth the risk. This is just an epic play. Well done, king 6 suited.
And a little bit of disrespect for
That is
Brewers 3-bet there from Ravitz.
I think it's the timing thing. He's just like, it just seems too suspicious, right? Like,
Sure.
we're both number 2, 3, 4 stacks. The first opportunity you 3-bet my under, because in theory, when you 3-bet the under the gun, you're supposed to be pretty nutted, right? Because the under gun's opening a tighter range. I mean, how often do you really get dealt ace, king plus, queens plus? It's just a really nice read.
Agreed. That's kind of what it takes, Randy. You can't just sit back and, presume that you're always going to be dealt in with the best of it. Got to take some chances.
Well, he did say he's a lone newcomer. He's showing some good plays.
Yeah. It's been an impressive run to this point. Look at Brewer, big smile on his face. He's like, this check kid, 4-betting me. I got something for him. Feverishly pecking away at his cell phone. Davies, meanwhile, opens to 350,000 with ace-8. And this one should get through. There it is. Davies, good friends with Jason Kuhn, 4-time Triton titleist. I know they talk a lot of strategy and a lot of poker. Of course, such an advantage to have access to brilliant minds as part of your group of friends out here in these high-stakes streets.
Almost certainly. Yeah, it helps, catch each other's holes. Maybe you got some
leaks.
Catch each other's leaks, yeah. Discuss maybe some new tendencies of some opponents.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at Seth Davies' stack. It looks monstrous, but he's actually in 5th place out of the 6 remaining players. So those whites are tricking me. Small blind, big blind. It is the chip leader he'd be limping into. That's the man who can defend wider than normal.
We're like 7.
He didn't answer him.
10 deuce, looking to limp in here.
Like you said earlier, he just seems pretty confident in the choices he's making. Some people would just lay this down like, yeah, it's not really worth it. It's a good sign when the chip leader isn't just instant raising your first limp as well. Brick.
And listen, Webster so far has been pretty deferent, looking to kind of lay back. As he flops himself a gut shot straight draw here.
Yeah, he plays a very solid style. He's going to lead out with 10 deuce. It is that kind of board where if your opponent's playing a very wide range, since it is check pre-flop in limp spot, BVB, they're going to miss this way too often. But 6-5, just enough hand. Put a little bit of chips in there. Maybe hit. Maybe gets checked to you, and when you miss, you fire away.
6 of diamonds a consideration as well for Webster.
Helpful.
He will tear one off. Top card pairs.
It's actually a good card for Webster. I know it doesn't improve him, but it's the type of card where you wouldn't expect Roman to multi-barrel. When they call you on the flop, well, they've got a pair, or if they've got a draw. They likely aren't going to fold to a multiple barrel. So that's going to give Webster the chance to get checked to and, decide. Do I take my stab now and represent that king, that 7? Or do I take one off and maybe play a river card? I think I prefer betting. My opponent does seem a little weak to bet, flop, check, turn. I've got 6 high. So many hands you can fold out. By checking, you'd be capping yourself to not having a king. I like this play.
Yeah, Webster putting 325 out there, taking advantage of that turn check to fire and take it down. He's a tactician, Randy.
Yeah, he's like one of the guys I always say hi to too. He doesn't say much, but he's very friendly. And
Yeah.
he's really good friends with Soiza. They talk a lot of strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Malaysia, and he's friends with Danny Tang, one of those guys that loves to play poker as well at these Triton stops.
Yeah, he loved to play Chinese poker as well. I owe him 900 from North Cyprus.
Well done.
We're playing 100 a point.
I know who not to
I'll have a
stake
shot
in
at
that
it.
game.
Listen, don't just assume that because it's called Chinese poker that somehow the Westerner has a disadvantage.
You have a disadvantage, don't you?
I don't. I play a good amount of Chinese poker. Randy, go ahead. You can book Danny against me if you like. But look, Danny's no fish.
Do you think he'd be playing you if he didn't think you were the spot?
You think I'd be playing him if I didn't think he was the spot? He's not the spot. Nobody's the spot. Webster Lim putting everybody on the spot as the chip leader. Out of the small, raising, queen jack, take it down. And it looks like the blinds are going up. If I'm to
What's this little guy all about?
have heard the dealer correctly there.
So we are six-handed, meaning 15 hands per level, but we get one more bust out, we're going to knock that number down to 14 hands.
Okay.
To increase the level. Small little change.
Looks like it's still 75, 150 out there right now. Did my ears deceive me? Does it feel like we've played 15 hands?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I'm too engrossed in the action.
I could have sworn I heard the dealer say it. That's why I called it out. But looks like we're going to stick at 75, 150 for now. It doesn't feel like we've played 15 hands, if I'm being honest. Not keeping track, but
No, it feels like a few more hands, but who knows?
fold it around now to Nick Petrangelo. 8-3 suited. Looking to take a flop.
10-6. It's a little trashy. You can see he's reaching for chips, thinking, is it trash enough to do that kind of polarized range? Just enough connection where you're like, all right, I'll take a flop. You know, like when it goes to 10-5, that's the line.
10-6, you can get both cards working. To be fair, all straights can be made with 10-5. 9-7-5.
It's an
Both
odd
players
fact
have
to
a gut
know.
shot.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh. You've been stumped.
Producer James asking to make a 9 high straight with 10 high. Obviously, the 10 creates the 10-5. The 10 creates a 10 high straight. Why would you bother, Producer James? Somebody take the batteries out of that man's comms. Meanwhile, Petrangelo is checked over to Brewer. 10 of spades. 6 of diamonds.
Inside straight draw. Both players. And the passive route doesn't necessarily mean he's going to lose his pot unimproved. Because Brewer's got to be worried when he gets check called on a flop, he's up against some kind of pair. He may slow down if no connection. That is an interesting card.
Yeah, the ace of clubs. Remember, this one wasn't raised pre.
So having said that, I'd imagine small blind would have a little bit more aces than the big blind because it's not raised pre.
Mm-hmm.
If Brewer had a pair, like a 9, 7, or 5, they should be worried on the ace. So Brewer will likely check the turn at a decent frequency. You also wouldn't imagine an ace bet the flop unless it now has 2 pair. Just from a pure hand reading point of view. And again, put final tables in there, bigger stack. Maybe you lean towards a bet more often, thinking your opponent won't want to continue with like bottom pair. And that's what he's going to do.
Second barrel out of Brewer.
Overbet.
Big one.
He's got some game today.
Yeah. I tell you what, momentum is such a real thing in tournament poker, Randy. We've seen it so often. A guy catches fire and just stop after stop. Prince.
I believe it.
Brewer,
Thank you.
it is
You're
a
in the
long
zone.
time coming.
You feel very confident in your decisions. You're getting rewarded with top payouts.